by not reaching out to you guys.
Tshidi, how are you?
Wow, sure, I'm good. Hi everyone. You know what? This is going to be an emotional interview for me.
Because
I'm being interviewed by my friend who knows my story. We've been friends for over 10 years. So this is not just another interviewer, this is my friend. So it's not going to be an easy one, but I will try my best to keep calm.
Okay. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
So I just want to find out first, what is the craziest thing you've done for your prison lover?
You want to get me arrested? That's all. You want to get me arrested? Sure, no.
Okay, hold that thought.
No, that one I can't share.
Oh, you can't share?
No,
okay, what is the craziest
thing
you've done for love in general? Forget the prison lover.
Gosh, I do many crazy things for love. I'm a sucker for love. I'm a sucker for romance. And when I'm in love, I go the extra mile. I mean, getting into a relationship with a prisoner is crazy enough, you know? So, no, there are many things which I can mention, unfortunately, because they'll get me into trouble, serious trouble.
Okay, so prison love. Why that title? Why did you choose that title?
2 reasons. The first reason is obviously because I was in a relationship with a man who was incarcerated. Then the second reason is that I became a prisoner of love when he came out of prison. I became a prisoner by insisting on staying when he showed me that he no longer wanted to be with me. But I was just holding on. Hence, you see in the book, I'm holding on to handcuffs. They're not carved on my wrists because I voluntarily put myself into a prison when the relationship had reached an expiry date. I tried to preserve it, and by doing so, I became a prisoner of love.
Okay, that makes sense. I never knew that, actually, so it makes sense. It makes sense. So you've just told everyone how we've been friends for the past 10 years, and I just want to go back a little bit because I vividly remember a conversation where we had lunch, and you were telling us, you are in love with a certain person. What was going through your head at that time when you were telling us that, DJ? What was going through your head?
As close as we were and very supportive, to each other, I just knew that somehow you were going to judge me because you did not understand. I mean, for me, being in a relationship with someone who was in prison was foreign. I mean, so for you to have a friend who's dating a prisoner must have been something crazy. So I really thought you were going to judge me or write me off, so I was not comfortable, but eventually you warmed up to the idea, even though it was not.
It didn't come naturally.
It didn't come naturally, but eventually you did. And I was relieved when you eventually gave me the love and support, even though you still didn't understand.
Didn't understand definitely
the relationship, but you were able to listen to my craziness whenever I shared the crazy stories that you wanted me to share now.
So, and how did this come about? Because you fell in love with someone who was in prison, and when you were outside, how did that happen? I'm taking myself back, 10 years back when you told us. I couldn't fathom it. Even now, it's still Ukila one, but because I now know the story, but it's still a bit difficult to understand. How did it happen? How did that happen?
Right. Remember, I worked with his sister. I started working for this company in Centurion. So one day I was just minding my own business, and my colleague's phone rings. She's not at a desk. So I picked up the phone. So now the guy on the other side of the line introduces himself as my colleague's brother. And he picked up that I did not speak the language spoken in Pretoria. So you got curious to know, who is this woman, where is she from, and everything. And that is when I explained that I'm originally from the East Rand, in the process of relocating to Pretoria. That's when he offered to help me find a place to stay, because he mentioned that he had been in a business of selling property.
Yes.
And I was relieved that, okay, there's this good Samaritan who's offering to help me find a place to stay. Little did I know that this good Samaritan was locked up. Okay, so he started phoning me directly, on a daily basis, on my direct line, my work line. Every single morning. I would look forward to our 5 minutes, 10 minutes conversations, before divulging that he was in prison. How do you start judging a person?
Yeah, and already you had caught feelings.
Not really at the time. He just had the right bandages that I needed at the time.
Yeah.
He was a good friend, But then how do you start judging that wonderful guy that you've been speaking to for 8 weeks based on his
You can't undo that.
No, you can't,
You can't undo that,
And naturally, I'm a curious person. So I got even more curious to see him and what he looked like and everything. So I went to visit him in prison with his sister.
Yeah.
So I had never been to a prison.
Yeah.
Even though I grew up in the township, dating, the type of guys we used to date before I got married. I mean, we dated my kids, but I had never been to jail. So I walked in there with my stilettos and my weave, my eyelashes. I looked the way I'm looking on that day. I was on, everything. Eyebrows on flick, weave, stilettos. I looked good, as if I was walking into the Union Building to meet the president.
Yeah.
But I was actually there to meet a prisoner I had never met.
Yeah.
So as we walked into the waiting area, I was observing everything. I mean, I was nervous, very nervous. As excited I was anxious, sweating, the palms of my hands were literally sweating. But I was still looking forward to meeting this guy, but I had many questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not know the type of crime he committed. I only asked his sister if he had murdered or raped anyone.
Yes,
she said no, but she did not tell me the reason why he was there. She thought that it was not her place. Yeah, so while we were waiting in the visiting area, I heard the sound of a gate opening. And as I looked up, I see this tall, handsome, shakadelic guy. He's so shakadelic, muscular, looking good in his prison uniform, like he had just walked out of a magazine, and he had channel on, his beard and mustache trimmed in an O shape, so he looked very handsome. Alright.
Yeah.
So then he walks towards us, he greets everyone with me being the last, and then he sits on the chair right in front of me, and then he grabs my hand like this, and he says, "Thank you for coming to see me.
Yes.
You look as beautiful as the sound. As the sound of your voice."
Yes.
He kisses the hand.
Yes.
So now little did he know was that the same hand that he grabbed is the hand that was banged against the wall by my husband on the night he almost killed me.
Yes.
So the hand was actually injured. So he had no idea. Then he kisses this hand and he looks up to hide the gloss in his eyes. Oh, before he looked up, he said, "I wish I could kiss you on the lips. I'm just respecting my sister." I was like, forget about her, I mean, really?
Yeah.
So
you spoke about a bandage and how he was the right bandage for you.
Yes.
And just tell us a little bit of the wound that you had before you met him, because I find that it's some of the things that we go into other relationships wounded and things like that. So take us through the wound that you had.
The wound was very deep. I needed to cover the wound, and I did not know how to do so. All I knew is that the wound was bleeding, and I needed bandages for that wound. I was a mess. And then he comes at that time when I just needed someone to fill me up, because I was empty and I did not know how to fill
that empty space.
That empty space, because that's what we do. When we go through stuff, we don't give ourselves time to heal. We don't face the pain. I was supposed to face the pain, but I was running away from that pain. I needed to feel, I needed something to fill that pain, that void. So what I've learned is that I should never want to fill the void. I should have allowed myself
to go through.
That pain. But at that time, I didn't see things that way. He came at the right time.
Came at the right time. Wow. So I want you to take us through the production process of the Prison Love book. How did it come about? What made you write it? Just take me through the whole process. The idea, the writing, the marketing, everything. How did that come about?
All right. Firstly, the reason I wrote the book was that when he came out, I expected a continuation of the love and the affection I experienced in the 4 years that I waited for him. So when that didn't happen, remember, he came and put bandages on the wound. So the wound wasn't healed. It was just covered.
True.
So he came and ripped off the bandage.
When he came out.
Have you ever had a wound covered and then you go to hospital
and it's like,
before they dress the wound, they rip off the bandage and then you feel
you start to bleed sometimes.
So that's what happened. He rips off, and then when you are injured, should I take a knife and I stab you? Right? Everyone who's watching will know that you are wounded, but they won't know where.
True.
Right? But now, and then you go and you go to a nurse, right? And then the nurse dresses the wound. And then she puts ointment on the wound. And then she knows what type of bandages she must use for that wound, right? So when you go to consult with that nurse, even if it can be after 5 years, the minute you undress, she knows where to look.
Yes, because she treated the wound.
Treated the wound before, right? So he knew where I was wounded.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Hence, when he put me through the things that he put me through, I couldn't perform. I could do such things when he understood the pain or the wound that I had. So now I could not just bleed and not pen down my story, right? I thought of another woman who is as wounded as I am, and they need bandages, but they don't know where to go look for those bandages. So I then decided to pen down my story
and write a book,
heal other women whose partners have been incarcerated, women like me who went looking for love in prison, and then they thought it would last post-incarceration. And when that doesn't happen, where do they go? Because prison love is taboo. It's misunderstood by society. Women who fall in love with prisoners, I mean, you know this. I regard it as being naive, desperate, ignorant, or even approving of criminal behavior. So now when they get disappointed by their prison lovers, they have nowhere to go. Then secondly, I wrote the book for women who have become prisoners of love by staying in relationships that have reached an expiry date, by staying where they are not wanted. Women who have put themselves into a prison. Then also for men who want to know how to treat women better. So those are the reasons why I wrote the book. So you asked about the process.
The production process,
production process. It wasn't easy because when I wrote the book, I was still in pain. At times, I didn't know if the book was healing or if it was adding salt, to the wound. So I would at times take breaks in between, 2 months, 1 month break. So it took me a year
to finish the book.
To finish the book, including editing.
Okay.
Initially, I wrote 171,000 words. And thanks to my competent editors at Gengidi, we reduced the number of pages, number of words to 98. So I resigned from my job in 2019.
Yeah.
So when I was on maternity leave, I decided that, you know what, I'm not going back. I mean, you know, before I came to Pretoria, I was in business full time. So I couldn't relocate that business. I needed to find a steady job because I had a daughter. I needed to find a place to stay. So the intention was to only work for a year. But 5 years later, I was still working. And I thought to myself, should I go back to work? I'm never going to resign because now I have 2 children. So I decided to resign. That was in April 2019. October, I started writing my book. 2020, COVID hit us hard.
Let me ask you to pause there. I want to go back a little bit, just for people who are watching, because there's a story there, especially post incarceration, when he came back, and I think this is in chapter, I'll tell you now, I think it's chapter 12. That was very touching to me, and this is why reintegration and broken promises, that's chapter 12, and which is why I was asking you before we came live, Hore, do you feel Hore we let you down as friends? Because for me, when I read this chapter, it was very emotional. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And also, not having an idea, I asked myself, like, what happened? Because this is not the Tshidi that I know. I know the Tshidi that is smart, intelligent, confident. How did it get to this, Wabon? So, can we talk a little bit about that?
Okay, no, you didn't let me down. I think I let myself down, but by not reaching out to you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I should have reached out, but because I had fear that you guys would judge, you guys would say, but see, we told you, because everything that he started doing is things that you guys warned me about when I told you that I was dating a prisoner. And then he started behaving in the same way that you had anticipated. And I didn't at the time, you know. So when he started behaving that way, I knew, or I thought, you guys were going to say, but Tshidi, we told you, what were you expecting? So I decided not to reach out to you, and I relocated. Well, I had a cousin whom I was close to at the time, but I also did not have the courage to speak to her. So I decided to go through everything on my own. You know, I remember I had changed jobs again.
Yes, I remember.
I left that company that I worked for, working for a new company. So all this is happening when I'm not even used to the people that I'm working with. You know, they don't even know that
you are dating.
Yes, because I told them that the guy that I'm dating is in Botswana. It's a long distance relationship, because they'd hear me speaking on the phone. So I just told them that no, he's in Botswana. So no, you guys did not let me down. I let myself down by not reaching out to you.
You know,
so this is very emotional. For me.
And you know, the other question that comes to my mind, and this is me when I was trying to make sense of, and these are the things that we ask ourselves in our circle, our friends, you know them, like what happened, because you look at the background, I know we grew up together, I know your mom, I know your dad, these were solid people who gave you love, you know. I'm just trying to understand whether the bandage obviously was caused by the previous marriage. I don't know, and I used to think to myself, like, why did she stay? Because the parents loved her so much.
Yeah.
Like, you had abundant love.
Yeah, I had everything.
You had everything.
Yes.
You know, and so when I read the conditions you were staying in, and you left a warm home.
Are you saying now post incarceration,
Yes,
when
post.
he started treating me like trash,
Yes.
and I stayed,
Yeah.
and he showed me in every way that he didn't want me, right? And there would be times where he would say, you need to go back to your parents' house because I don't want you here anymore. He would say such things, and I still stayed. Look, when a person is emotionally abused, it affects their decision making. You can't make sound decisions when you are like that because your self-esteem drops from 100 to 0.
Yeah.
And the person that is treating you that way makes you believe that everything that you are experiencing is all your fault. That you put yourself in this situation, and as a result of that, every single day I wanted to prove to him
that you are not,
that I'm not responsible and I'm still the woman that he fell in love with. I wanted to prove to him that I am still that Tshidi that visited him for 4 years in prison, the only woman he loved, even when he was running around with other women. Now I was on a mission of proving my worth
to him.
I didn't want to go back home. All I wanted was to make this man love me in a manner in which he loved me. I wanted to remind him that I'm still the same woman. I could not understand why.
And I guess you wanted him to keep his promise.
I wanted him to fulfill every single promise he made. I went through a lot of emotions. Shame. Shame I'm divorced, right? I have a daughter from my marriage. I date a prisoner. People warn me, people who care about warn me that this guy is going to unleash his true colors when he comes out, right? He does exactly that. And when he does that, I'm pregnant. So now I have 2 children with different fathers. Feel shameful. Well, okay, this is not the type of life I had dreamed of for myself. You know, I'm an intelligent woman. I mean, in my mind, I thought I was going to be married forever and have a normal family, just me and my husband having more children.
Like how your parents modeled it.
Exactly. You see, that is the type of life I wanted for myself. That is the type of life I wanted for my daughter. Now I have 2 children with different fathers. I'm actually pregnant, you know, by this man who doesn't want me anymore. How do you walk around the streets with that? You know? So I needed to make things right for myself so that I can walk like the queen that I am without having to worry about what people are saying behind my back. So that is one of the reasons I stayed. And I mean, my ex-husband treated me bad. He's treating me bad. Then I thought, okay, fine. Am I ever going to find a man who will love me and treat me right with 2 children from different fathers, with the type of choices and decisions that I've made? And I thought staying here made sense. You know, even when I went to visit my parents, I did not even mention any of the things that I was going through. Even at work, I pretended as if everything was fine.
I remember reading that you know, and again, it reminds me of how we as women, you can never tell when anything is happening.
Yes.
You know, I think from our circle, I remember we used to tend to say, you know, this woman has just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then you can only sense by a person disappearing whether there's something happening, but you don't know what, you know. Yeah. And then again, you put on this face, you go on, you take your pictures, you are nice.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Yes.
Unless a person asks, okay, so
that's the lesson right there. So when a friend suddenly disappears, it needs to bother you.
Yeah.
Why has Tshidi disappeared? You know, Tshidi is full of life. She's out there. She loves us. Why is it that all of a sudden she no longer wants to be part of us? She no longer wants to be part of what we do. I mean, you know the type of life we used to. I mean, we were happy. We were out there, and all of a sudden, I'm not in that circle. It should have bothered you guys. So, just a lesson for people out there: when your friend suddenly disappears, or their behavior changes, you need to make it your problem to know
what happened,
what is happening. Well, understand. So you asked earlier if you let me down, and I said no, I let myself down. But you let yourself down by not knowing what was happening in your friends'
life. Because now I'm reading this and thinking,
and you are shocked.
I'm shocked.
Oh my goodness, Tshidi went through all that, and we had no clue. Yeah, it happens. So this is why we also need to be kind to everyone, because we never know what people
are going through.
But it's okay, because I understand now that this was my journey. Had you been there, I wouldn't have written this book.
True.
The pain wouldn't have been severe. I went through everything that I experienced in my marriage. With you guys.
We were there, yeah.
You were there. We met every month. We would talk, we would laugh, we would dance, we went out, you know. So everything, the impact of the pain wasn't as severe because you guys were there.
Yes.
So had you guys been there for me, I wouldn't have felt the pain. And I think God wanted me to feel that pain. Because this was my journey. I had to go through everything. I had to end up in that psychiatric ward so that other women can heal from my story. I wouldn't have written Prison Love if you guys were there, because you were going to help me carry the load. And I had to carry the load. It was my load.
Yeah, I'm the one getting emotional much. And this is chapter
13, I think.
Chapter 13, ending up in a psychiatric ward. This one it just killed me. It really just killed me. And still, I'm reading it from a book. Where you ended up in a psychiatric ward. Your son was born there.
When I was 9 months pregnant, right? I ended up in a psychiatric ward. Because I pretended. I lived a lie. Pretended to be okay. I looked this good every day. I went to work looking this good. I sat behind the desk, talked to clients the whole day. I laughed. I was the happiest person in the office. I was the happiest. I promise you. One of my colleagues bought the book. She did not understand. Because they were there when this was happening, but they didn't see the signs. You know, until I couldn't take it anymore. Until I stopped feeling my baby move. And then I remember packing my stuff. There was a day that I felt that, you know what, this is too much. I need to consult. I need to see my gynecologist, because I haven't felt my baby move. Something is happening. I just knew that I wasn't okay. And I packed my stuff at work. I put away, because I knew that I wasn't going to come back to work the next day. And I went. You know, when I went to the consulting room, I did not even see the gynecologist. I started crying. I broke down the minute I walked through the door. And you know, I broke down. And the receptionist, the lady that does admin there, she went to the gynecologist. This is not even in the book, the whole process. She went to the gynecologist to tell her there's a patient who is just weeping. And then the gynae said, okay, I will form the maternity ward so that they admit her. I will see her there, because you can't keep her in the rooms. And then when she came to see me, I was a nurse, and she referred me to a psychiatrist who diagnosed me with depression and kept me for 2 weeks in the hospital. When I had a session with a psychologist, he asked if I had people
to talk to.
To talk to. I said, no one.
Yeah.
He said, no wonder you are like this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you have no one to offload to. You are lucky your baby is still alive. You are lucky you
I'm still alive.
still alive.
Yeah, and that is why I'm saying that this one, it touched me really bad, because when you're going through things like that, mental health issues, and you have no one, the burden is so heavy.
Yes.
It is so heavy. So when you have people that you can talk to, or a partner that you can just call and say, today is just a bad day.
Yes.
It becomes better.
Because you cannot do this life thing on your own. You need to surround yourself with different types of people. People who feed you emotionally. Yes, you need to be able to feed yourself, but
Yes.
you need to have people who feed you emotionally, spiritually, mentally.
Yes.
Surround yourself with the right type of people. This life thing, you cannot do it on your own, because when you try to do it on your own, it will destroy you.
Yeah.
You'll either commit suicide or end up with psychosis.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's stop the tears, Hanya. So, Prison Love, you wrote it. Now you have your book. It's edited. Where do you start? How did you get it out there? What did you do? Because now I want to talk about
The book is
the amazing job you
edited.
did. Yeah.
I'm broke now because I couldn't do events. Remember when I resigned, I went back to catering.
Yes.
And I was doing okay before the lockdown.
Yes.
So all of a sudden I don't have an income. I've published this book. I can't pay my editor. I don't have a book cover. I need to raise funds, and other than catering, what I know is sales.
Yeah.
I was in sales for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was introduced in the business of selling hand sanitizers. And no one knew I was writing a book except my family at the time. So, except a lady whom I met at the psychiatric ward, the lovely Dr. Tsametse Nkuta. So I started talking to her about the book, and she realized how passionate I was while I was talking to her. So, but prior to that, I started selling hand sanitizers. Stood outside the mall, a very busy mall in the area, and no one bought. As good as I was in sales, that's the thing. When you are broken,
yeah, you won't
attract.
It's an energy thing.
It's an energy thing because people don't buy your product.
They buy you.
They buy you. So who wants to buy a broken person? A person who, even behind a mask, you can see that this person is not happy. This person is gloomy. She doesn't look good. I did not look this way. So who was going to buy my product? So I struggled. I sold different things. No one was buying. So I couldn't publish my book until Dr. Tsametse Nkuta and my parents and my editor came to my rescue. Eventually published the book. On the day I published my book, I decided to speak to the queen in me. Yeah. The queen that I had stopped speaking to, the royalty within me. I reminded myself, you are Tshidi Monkoe.
Yes.
You are powerful. You were born with inherent power.
Yeah.
This is your journey. And this is not just a book. This is an ointment for other women. And because I spoke to the queen in me, I was able to make a success
of this book.
I was able to think of ways of putting the book and myself out there. I was able to think of ways of putting my story out there, and now women are healing from my story. I've sold over 800 copies of the book.
And I remember every time I see your status, it's like, listen to this radio station, Tshidi Monkoe, You've done over 50 radio interviews.
Yes.
How did you get those? What did you do?
Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy. I started inviting, sending friend requests to
Yeah.
producers, station managers, presenters on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn is a business platform.
Yes.
So people take it seriously there, you know.
True.
And some of them were producers I had relationships with because I used to do events.
Yeah.
So I would literally ask them to give me a slot for an interview. But it wasn't as easy as I'm
That you're saying now.
saying now. It took months for them to respond. They'd give me email addresses, email so and so. They do book reviews. Then I'll send an email and they would respond 2 months later. But in between, I would be doing something like I had nothing. So the whole of 2021, every single month,
You had an interview.
I had an interview or two. I even did radio interviews. I was also featured on newspaper publications and magazines. So you need to make sure that you are consistent in business, in sales.
Yeah.
Consistency is key in life. Generally, consistency is key.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something very, that spoke to me, that, you started sending, you started networking, because that's how you would find business. You need to network.
Creating rapport.
And putting yourself out there.
Putting myself out there. And creating that rapport between the producers and myself and the presenters and the people, the listeners. Because after the radio interview, they contact you.
They connected.
So now this is what people need to understand. The sales process is long.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't sell to people when you are not in rapport. So how I managed to sell 800 books is because I engage with people. I had spoken to the royalty in me.
Yes.
So it was easy for me. It was easy for me to speak to the royalty in my queens and my brothers. I don't call them clients, I call them my queens. Because there's a queen, there's a royalty that lies within them. Whenever I have an encounter with someone, I find where that royalty in them lies. And I speak to that royalty, whether it's a man or a woman, and they fall in love with me.
Yes.
I get them to fall in love with me, not my story, not my product, with me first. And I can even sell them in Muka. They will buy your product because they have bought me.
Yes.
Anything
Precisely,
that I sell,
precisely.
they will buy. I have people who buy my book and not even read it. The other day I was at Exclusive Books for a signing. There's a gentleman who bought a copy of Prison Love, and then he came back to me and said, Tshidi, I don't read non-fiction. I only read business books, but I bought your book. Please give it to someone who cannot afford to buy. That is the power of rapport.
Wow.
And we want to quickly close the sales process when we are not in rapport with people.
Yeah.
When someone resists what you are selling to them, just know that you are not in rapport.
Yeah.
Because no one will resist something they need. So it means you haven't met them where they are. And that is how you build rapport. You saw me, you heard me when I was talking to the cameraman.
Yes.
The gentleman.
Yeah.
I spoke his language. He speaks Xhosa.
Yes.
Right? So each radio station that I went to.
Yes. I know that.
Even though I do speak Xhosa, but I'm not fluent. But before the interview, I googled words I usually use when doing a presentation for Prison Love in Xhosa. So I planned. Bona, I went on air and I started Xhosa, never son and I started great, So after that interview, Xhosa women, No, it's so much.
Okay.
So that is building rapport.
Yeah.
You meet people where they are. When you go to Ukhozi FM, uyakhuluma.
Yes.
How uya ku Motsweding FM, wabule. How uya ku Thobela FM, wabule. How uya ku Lesedi FM, wabule. You understand?
Yeah. I actually remember listening to your interview on Lesedi FM, and my mom phoned me. Yo, Tsametse Nkuta was so to Hamnati so. And I thought to myself, yo. And I told him, I'm like, yo, when I was to Hamnati so.
Yes.
Not even a single word. Yeah.
That is the power of rapport. Why I understand.
Yeah.
I was in Lesotho again.
Yes.
The previous weekend. My dad's cousin invited me over for dinner. Cindy, Sesotho sa hao. I sa tshwana le sa ntate wa hao le other things. I will blow you away.
Yeah.
So it's because I understand the power of rapport.
Yeah.
And even typing that language. Because when those people come,
on your inbox,
about text English, they will text you and then you respond in their language. That is so powerful. Do not underestimate the power of meeting people where they are. And the best way of creating rapport is speaking that person's language. That is why now I encourage my children to speak our languages. I don't use English with my children because they need to be multilingual. For them to be able to achieve the things that they want, they need other people. In order for them to get stuff from those people, they need to be able to speak those people's languages.
True.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I know if there's one thing I'm taking away from this interview,
and also on social media, do not underestimate the power of social media. When people comment on your post, don't just like or heart. If a person takes time to type a comment, make time to respond. Say thank you. Don't just heart their comment because they did not just like. They liked and commented. You are not VIP. Your client is VIP. When you are selling something, you are not the most important person.
True.
They are the most important person. And you need to understand their map of the world. Respect their map of the world because your truth is not, my truth is not their truth.
Yeah.
Just because I've experienced abuse, I've experienced all types of abuse, it doesn't necessarily mean that I will impose my beliefs on the next woman who's going through something similar because our journeys are unique. So I need to make time to listen to what they're saying and not impose my beliefs on them. That is how you build rapport. And then there's no such thing as building, creating the need. The need is there. You just need to identify your target market. And that's what I did. I identified the target market for my book, and that is women who are wounded, women who are broken, women who are prisoners of love, women who are empty, who need something, who need to fill themselves up, and men who want to know how to treat women better, and generally people who love content. That is why you see on my posts, I give people content. I give people what they want. That is relevant, because I understand my target market. So people let themselves down by not understanding that identify your target market. You'll never go wrong. You can't sell to everyone. I can't sell to every woman. I can't sell to every single, even a woman who's wounded. I cannot sell to every single woman who's wounded. A woman who's experienced certain forms of abuse that I haven't experienced might not relate to my story. So I need to clearly define my target market, and I do that on a daily basis.
So bukaya how itola la kai os because kisho batho batla we reka batho read more about it.
Okay, Prison Love is available for exclusive books nationally, or go to any branch, exclusive books. Should that particular branch not have it, but I transfer from another branch, then it's available called Lifestyle Books called Lesotho, Maseru, Pioneer Mall, Zimbabwe, ko Harare. Yes. Lifestyle Books ya Tohoyando, Lifestyle Books Tzaneen, Lifestyle Books ya Lakeside Mall, Maponya Mall, Lijobek Central. Then it's also available directly from me for those who want a signed copy by the author, but I encourage you to buy from the bookstores unless none of these books at present, yes, the bookstores, Modi, then you can buy directly from me. But if Lifestyle Books or exclusive books is available in your area, please do buy from those stores, not from me, because I'm trying not to sell directly. Otherwise, prison love will be sold from me and then collect dust at the next stores.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. And any parting words, advice for people like me, like you, who hustle? Because you've always been a hustler, and I know you have a wealth of knowledge. So any advice for people who are business owners, small business owners?
Know your why.
Yeah.
Know your why. Whenever you are selling perfumes, you are selling beauty products, you need to know why you are doing this, because your why will give you the drive that you need when things get tough. Because things do get tough.
Yeah, true.
You know, for a business, things do get tough. So if you understand your why, it will keep you going. And like I said in the beginning, you need to speak to the queen in you in order for you to speak to the queen or the royalty in your customers and identify your target market. You can't sell perfumes and beauty products to everyone. You need to know who is your target market. And your target market is people who like looking good, people who want to smell good. But not everyone who wants to smell good and look good will want to buy your product. There are certain people who are loyal. Some people are loyal to their brands. So those are not your target group, because they will discourage you. Identify your target market. And then once you've identified your target market and you build rapport, and you should not rush the sales process. It's a lengthy process. Collect leads. And people who are not in sales don't understand the power of having a database.
Yes, true.
I have over 2,500 contacts on my phone.
Yeah.
Those are my leads. Those are people who contact me after radio interviews. I save their numbers. And then every single day I post on my status content to entice them. I make them fall in love with me and my product. So you do that. You create a database for yourself. When I have an event, not people who buy or who attend are people on my WhatsApp. Not even people from my social media platforms, because that is my database. So create a database for yourself. And just keep going. And there's no such thing as an expensive product. Once you've identified your target market, they will buy because they are in need of that product.
I enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed it so much, and I hope the people who tuned in enjoyed it. It was able to encourage them. It was able to also give them hope, to push on their lives, push on their businesses. Like you said, businesses, it's not easy.
It's not.
But create rapport. You need other people to pull you up and to get you where you want to be.
Exactly.
So thank you very much for coming.
What an emotional interview. I've never cried during an interview, and I've done over 50 of those. But I must say, it was quite liberating. Great to have this conversation with you. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for coming, Mungani, and for the friends who couldn't come, who are watching from home. Thank you so much. Thank you to the queens and kings who have showed me love, the kings and queens who just keep supporting me. Continue doing so, and let's heal. The most important thing is for us to heal and free ourselves from the prison that we've put ourselves in. I always say, no one hurts us. We hurt ourselves through expectations that we have. We hurt ourselves by not loving ourselves enough. We hurt ourselves by not knowing how to fill our own cups. We hurt ourselves by getting into relationships when we are broken. We hurt ourselves by getting into relationships not because we are running towards something, but because we are running away from something. And often what we are running from is ourselves. And the sad part is that wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So fix yourself before you get into a relationship. Work on yourself, master yourself, have that awareness. There are certain things that you can't change about yourself, but you need to have the awareness, because when you are aware, you start making better decisions, you make better choices, because you are aware of yourself. You become emotionally intelligent. But when you don't have self-awareness, you're just going to keep making the same bad choices and decisions, because life will just keep throwing the same things towards you until you've learned the lesson. Different experiences, but same experiences in a different way. But because you haven't learned the lesson, you are just going to keep making those decisions and those choices. So heal. And there is nothing wrong with being single. Be single for as long as you can, because that is the time where you go on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to be able to receive love, you need to be able to love yourself enough. Because when you love yourself enough, you will know what is it that you need and deserve. You will never settle for mediocrity. So heal.
Never settle for mediocrity. I say, thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for this, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for coming, and thank you to my followers, Facebook, Instagram, and for the face beads.
For the face beads, thank you for making me look like a doll.
And all thanks to Mary Gold. You can follow her on Instagram, Mary Gold. We will tag her so that you can see. Thank you, guys.
And then don't forget to get yourself a copy of Present Love.
And don't forget to visit Alberton in Newcastle.
Yes, Alberton in Newcastle. You can follow them on Facebook as well.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.